Hello guys, so I want to make a video. It's not my usual type of content where I help you like, fitness or whatever, but I'm making this video as an awareness because I just think like a lot of people need to hear about loneliness in life after high school, because a lot of people are definitely going to be scared on what is life after high school, how it's like, and just all this stuff. And this is like, there's no script, fully unedited, and so I'm just gonna be, spitting out words. And like the first thing is how it feels. You feel great, you feel happy to be, done with school. And the thing is, you're not really done with school. You still have college, or if you're not going to school, you're going to work, right? So you're definitely still going to be meeting people, but it's never going to be the same. I'll tell you that. Okay, it's a completely different setting. Going to class, from going to class every single day, then lunch, and then having the same schedule as all of your friends is not going to be the same. Some of your friends are going to go to work, some of your friends are just going to not work at all. And the thing is, in my situation, I had a family who, obviously was Mexican, who believed that once you're out of high school, you're kind of on your own, if that makes sense. And so you're just gonna have like a bunch of friends with different struggles after high school, because everyone's definitely gonna be struggling in their own ways, right? And that's what causes separation, right? They want to figure themselves out. You want to figure yourself out. Some people figure themselves out different than others. Others have to spend time with people to help them figure them out, or they just kind of leech off each other and kind of keep moving forward in life, right? So everybody just moves different, right? So that's where the separation begins. Once you realize, damn, everything I do is now just my daily life. It's not high school anymore. It's not this anymore. It is my daily life. And, you feel more disconnected with people. Because, you're not really with them anymore. And disconnection and loneliness is like there's two different meanings. There's a physical one where you're literally just with no one, and then there's one mentally where you could be with people, but you just don't feel connected. You feel just there, and you're like, why am I here? And you're gonna feel that a lot, especially when you start working your first job. You're gonna be like, why am I here? I don't want to be here. And it makes sense. It's fine. Everybody's gonna go through it, so it's like no judgment at all. And you're definitely gonna find find ways to cope. Like, for example, that's what I did. I started making videos because I just felt like I was talking to people, making a difference, at least in one person's life, maybe. But no one really watches these, so it's like, it's whatever. But hopefully, someone eventually finds this and it helps that one person out, and that would literally make all this effort worth it. But yeah, a lot of people find a way to distract themselves from feeling disconnected. Some people, for example, like me, I do fitness and I just like to work out, and I wanted to help people work out. But then at some point you're gonna crash. Like, for example, I have not been eating or working out the best I have ever been, and this is for the first time a thing that I've realized. I was a very active kid in high school. I ran, I did football, I did everything, right? I would work out after I would go to gym and all this and that. But then, like, there's no really motivation for me anymore. You really have to find a reason other than just because you were good at a sport in high school. And that's the thing that really made me feel disconnected with just everything else. I didn't have a purpose anymore, if that makes sense. And and since I started to feel down, I started to regret what I was doing, but I would still do it, and that made me want to like not connect with people in a way I used to. And I feel like that isolated myself even more, because I was just in my room. I had nothing to do. I was like, what should I do? But I wouldn't want to do it. I was too scared. So I just stayed in my room, and I kept asking me these stuff, which just made it so much worse. And it was horrible. It was not the best condition I've ever been in my life, but you know, it's a new phase in life that you just have to go through, and you don't have to go through it alone. Of course, you know, I'll I'll be here for any random person that needs it. You know, bro, you could call me, right? You could reach out to me, call me, cry on call with me, and bro, I wouldn't even judge you, honestly. Like, I would listen. And, you know, that's just the type of people you want in your life. And, you know, sometimes you realize your friends, right? Your friends aren't really your friends. They were a convenience to you, right? Because they could replace you just like that. Like, literally, if, like, some people who, for example, like me, I stopped hanging out with my friends. And honestly, that was because of me. You know, I was going through stuff, you know, trying to find my stuff. And I just didn't, not necessarily have time, but I felt like I have no time. I felt like I shouldn't be. And then, boom, like, just like that, they replaced me. Just like that. And when you figure that out, you're like, damn, just like that. And yeah, it's really just like that. Like, your life is the same way, you know. And you figure out one of your friends have just replaced you because you just can't be with them, which makes sense. But at the same time, it hurts. You know, it digs a hole into your heart. And it's like, damn, you know. And that's when you start to, like, you know, kind of distance yourself. Just knowing you could be a replacement is just hurts. To anyone, to anything, it just hurts. And you never want to be a replacement, but that's just the truth, you know. That's just how life works. And, you know, it kind of also leads into your birthday parties. Like, for me, I've always had a supportive family. They just work 12-hour shifts, though. They're not, like, my sisters told me, you know, I've seen my coworkers more than I see my family. And it's like, damn, you know, it's not something you just want to be doing all the time. But you would definitely miss your friends. And I had birthdays where I just never had friends. Like, I never had people to bring to my birthdays. I never had, you know, anyone to invite. And vice versa. I never been invited, never had people to invite me. And it just kind of made me feel disconnected from people. Like, it made me feel like an outsider, if that makes sense. You know, because I was always different from everyone else. You know, I always wanted to help people. I always wanted to be kind. You know, and especially in high school, everybody finds, you know, entertainment in messing with people. And I was never like that. I always felt bad for messing with people. Like, yeah, I would joke around with them, you know, goof off with them, but I would never hurt someone else, like, to, you know, make myself feel better. I always thought about helping people and just being there with someone and making them have a good time. If I made them smile that day, it worked. If I didn't, then I feel bad. You know what I mean? And that just made me feel so disconnected from people because I couldn't relate to anyone. I couldn't genuinely talk to someone and be like, man, I'm having these problems. I'm this and that and that. You know what I mean? Because no one wanted to listen. You know, me, if someone were to come up to me and be like, yo, I have these problems, I have this, I have that, and were to call me for an hour and be like, yo, I need your help, I wouldn't mind it at all. Like, I would be there for you, you know? Even if you're watching this right now, I will be there for you. Like, completely free. I'm not going to charge you for this or for that. And, you know, I just felt like an outsider because you know, I never had friends to really relate with. Like, I never found myself. I never got to be myself. And whenever I tried to be myself, I got shut down. And it was like, damn, you know, why be yourself? I always thought. But it's like, you know, I'd rather be myself than be not myself to, you know, improve someone else's life who could just replace me, is what I was thinking. Which, you know, all this thinking made me isolated. And it's like, it's all those last minute things as well. I know some people could relate, is where you make plans and last minute one person cancels, and that causes a chain reaction because that one person was really just that friend who had all your other friends. So, like, for example, I invited one guy, he cancels, and all the other people cancel because they only went for that one guy. I was just lucky to invite them. And it's just how life is. And you know, you always find ways to distract yourself from it. At the end of the day, the more you question it, the more pain you're gonna suffer. So, you know, this is kind of a life phase you're gonna go through, and I believe everyone goes through it. And I'm still going through it myself, you know. But I feel like for the final advice, so I can end it, is always try to find that one person you could talk to. Try to be that one person someone else could talk to. Because at the end of the day, you guys both don't know what to do. But, you know, in high school, you never knew what to do. Like the work, the homework, the schedule, everything, right? You never had classes with your friends all the time. You always had problems. But the thing is, you went through those problems together. Now, the only difference is without high school is you guys have to go through different problems at the same time, just differently. You know what I mean? Like, you guys both have different problems now, but you guys could always talk to each other, help each other out. And that's what I want to, like, you know, say. You know, a lot of people around this generation are fed so much content that are just scared to talk to each other about, because like some people think if you don't have at least 10 grand by the time you're out of high school, you're already behind. And the thing is, you're never behind depending your goals, right? If I wanted to live an average life and, you know, be a bum and just work a normal job, well, there's no such thing as a bum. If, you know, like, if I just wanted to, you know, just live an average life, an average Joe life, and be happy, then be it, you know? I'm never behind because I'm on track on what I want to do. And I feel like, especially in this generation where content is such a huge thing, I could tell you guys, oh, I have $100,000. Put $100,000 symbol and be like, oh my gosh, if you guys aren't doing this at 18, you guys are behind. And someone will watch this and have no idea what I'm doing, and I have no idea what I'm doing, but I make the money from selling my courses, from selling this. And people will be like, damn, I should start, you know, try making a business or some shit like that. And, you know, they'll fail. They'll obviously fail. The average Joe isn't just gonna make a business just like that, right? With no research. And they'll fail. And that would ruin them and cause them to go in a spiral. And I feel like, you know, always try something with a friend or talk to a friend. But obviously, be a trusted friend. Someone you really know. And the thing is, when you don't have that, like me, it gets hard. And you don't know how to make friends anymore. I mean, of course you could go to college, but depending the college you go to is like if I were to go to community college, you know, I saw that most of them are online, not in person. So it's really just up to how you do it and how you, like, it's just the circumstances. I would recommend, you know, going places, you know, going to a library, talk to some people there, reading a book, ask them how their life has been, how their day has been. You know, I just think the more you try to talk to people, the better. But at the same time, you know, some people feel mentally exhausted, and I understand that because, you know, life is hard. It's hard. You know, high school has this whole program for you, or college has this whole program for you, but once you're out, you're out. It's time for you to build it. But the thing is, you're not allowed to build it. You know, you have to build it around your life. And that's where, you know, it gets hard. So I hope this video helped someone or anyone, honestly. And if you need anyone to talk to, just know I'm always open. You know, I don't know everything. Neither do you, neither does someone else around you. And, you know, it's better to like, get it off your chest than to have it building up. So just, you know, reach out to me if you need to. Or, you know, I am young, so, you know, I get it if you know, if you feel scared to reach out. But if you think about it, people don't trust each other because you guys are relatively the same age. You know, you could have a coworker the same age as you, 45, 20, 50, whatever. And you're not just going to trust them because they're the same age. You're going to trust them because they bring value to you. Or, you know, you trust a friend because they're there for you. They entertain you. You can hang out with them. They're there for you. And, you know, I'm going to be that person who's there for you. And I hope you trust me. And I hope you reach out to me. And I hope, you know, I hope I could turn things around for you and just be there for you. So I just want to thank you guys for watching this. If you did, if you did get this far, just like the video. You know, I want to make this reach out to anyone. You know. Okay, thank you.